Okay, might as well get started. It's 12:16, so anybody's here. I see that we've got a group online. A lot of you still have aren't hooked up audio-wise. It makes it a little tough when we can't talk to each other. So if you get a second, go ahead and log in or call in to the webinar so we can talk to each other. Makes it a little bit more interesting for everybody when we can get some feedback from what's going on out there. Okay. So let's get started. Well, good afternoon, everybody. What we're going to be talking about today is, a 5-star review. One of the things that I did in preparation, I wanted to introduce myself. Some of you don't know who I am. I'm the new Director of Training here at UDS. I got about 30 years of experience in the business, 16 years in dealership sales, F&I, and management. I had 3 years as a dealer principal. I worked for 10 years in the service contract, ancillary products and training business, and in that role, in that time, I was VP direct-to-dealer business. I was responsible for the P&L for our training arm. We owned a 20 group composite company, which I was responsible for, and a CRM, which was called Traffic Log Pro. At my last position before I came here, I was global VP for training and product development for that company. So I've got kind of a broad background, but just wanted to introduce myself and tell you I'm really excited to be a part of UDS, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you in the future. So let's get started. Customer interaction. Compliance tells us that we can't have an open door policy in F&I. And we have to keep it a secure environment, and we tend to stay in there a little bit because we're busy. However, sometimes we need to get out of the office and spend time with our best customers. And that's kind of the twist today is the best customer, it really is right outside our office. And when we think about who is our most important and best customer, it's the sales department. So we're going to be kind of gearing this, thinking about the sales department as our best customer. Let's think about it. Most, if not all, our business comes from the sales department, and we wouldn't have a whole lot to do if they weren't there. They get to experience how we serve our customers every day. We're going to be talking a little bit about that. You know it as well as I do. The sales department can and does influence everybody that comes into our office, one way or the other. And, just like any business out on the street, a restaurant or a service or a doctor or a lawyer or anything else nowadays, anytime you look for anything online, we're looking for a reputation. We want to see those 5 stars. We want to see what's going on. And our reputation is known inside the dealership, just like any business is out on the street. And, I kind of want to question you about today is, what's your reputation in the sales department? What do they think of you? So, let's talk about it. If anybody wants to join in, or that would be great. I'm looking to see who's on that can talk. But how's your customer service? If the sales department is your number one customer, and they were asked to rate you as a business, how many stars would you get? And that's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer. But is it 1, 5? How many is it? So let's talk about it a little bit. In my research getting ready to talk about this today, I looked on and found what compels people to give 5-star reviews. And there are some commonality, whether you're a business, a restaurant, a professional service, whatever. And what I found were, these are the 10 things that compel somebody to give a 5-star. They're, product knowledge. They talk about, they want the business to know what they're doing. They want the business to be friendly. They want the business to be helpful. Even if they're talking to the wrong person, they want that person to know what's going on and be helpful. They like dealing with people that are well trained. They like people that are responsive. They like to be asked for feedback, and they really love it when that feedback is used. They like it when businesses take the extra step and throw in something for extra, and they also like it when they deal with complaints in a urgent and professional manner. And then last is they like it when they listen. So what I thought I'd do today is kind of take those top 10 and let's apply them to the F&I office on what it would take to get a 5-star review in the F&I office. So let's get started. You know, research tells us that customer service drives those 5-star reviews even more than the product that's being purchased. So that was kind of interesting, and so let's get started knowing your product. My question is, are you a product expert? Are you the #1 product expert in your store? Do you understand all the terms and conditions? You know, the customers sure expect you to know everything, and those are the salespeople and the managers. You know, they need to be confident that you have the answer whenever they need it. And on a scale from 1 to 5, how would you rate yourself in this area? You know, again, you don't have to answer. But if somebody's listening and they'd like to chime in, I'd sure like to hear, what do you do to keep sharp on product? What are you doing out there? Ed, I can see you're listening. Could you share with us what you do to keep sharp in product?
Yes, I learn every day, and when I go into a store, ask them to take out one of the contracts and go over the contracts with them.
When you say go over the contracts, I'm assuming you're talking about terms and conditions and things like that?
Correct.
Yeah. You know, that's it's funny. We every time you know those forms come out and you get new forms, you should always read the back because there's always something there that you can learn, and it's interesting. You know, I find out things all the time. It's the first part of that I like to read. I forget the brochure. I go right to the back and read the T's, and they tell me everything I want to know. Thanks for sharing that, Ed.
Yep.
You know, #2. Oops, get that over there. #2, it's coming. There it is. Be friendly and say thank you. So I got something for you. Are you approachable? You know, being friendly in our world can be a little, you have to be deliberate about it sometimes. I mean, when you're slammed, you haven't had lunch, you look up at 10 minutes to 5, you know you're supposed to get off at 5, and the sales manager walks in and says, hey, I got a deal for you. This guy's been a little tough. I don't think he's going to want anything. Do you look at him and say thank you? I know that's a little extreme, but, you know, what would your reaction be if you didn't, you know, if you hadn't seen the customer in a few days? You know, you'd probably be glad to get it at 5 o'clock. And if you've been really busy all day, how grateful are we to our customer for bringing us all those opportunities? You know, we have to be approachable. We have to be calm, cool, and collected, and look forward to every deal we get. We have to be helpful when there's even nothing in it for us. You know, it doesn't happen very often, but when we have some spare time in the F&I office, we need to be out at the sales desk. When I talk to new people that are just getting into F&I tell them that, you know, that's a place to be. If you know, get out there and be helpful. Help structure a deal. You know, take a TO, do some training, greet a customer, whatever. You know, how can I help the sales department when I'm not doing something? Because they're my #1 customer. You know, when we look at F&I departments that are top performers consistently, one of the traits that they have, and top performing F&I managers for that matter, is that they work really well with the desk to maximize profit on every deal. And when they do that, you can see it in their numbers. Really, really good things happen. #4, train your staff. You can tell this, you know, if you go to a restaurant or a business, and restaurants usually can really see it when they're really well trained. And you can also see it when they're not. You know, for now the F&I process begins online. When people are doing their initial searches, you know, they're seeing things, they're seeing offers, they're seeing interest rates, they're seeing terms. They're starting to see a lot of information. And, you know, how well is our sales department and sales staff handling those questions when they're with the customer that we know they're getting, you know, about payment, about terms, about, you know, interest rates, all of those different things, even products. You know, we have a choice. We can let them do their thing and then complain when we don't get the TO the way we want, or, you know, the customer isn't coming in the frame of mind that we would prefer, you know. And if we take the time to go out there and train our salespeople to give the responses we want them to give when they get those types of questions, it'll only help us out. So, well, you know, your staff would be, you know, I guess the sales team, and making sure that they're trained well as it comes when it comes to talking about F&I and the products that we offer. Responsive. I'd like to, you know, who likes to wait? Anybody? I don't know a single person that likes to wait for anything anymore. You know, we just don't. And F&I, that's the number one CSI killer, is the time it takes from the moment I say yes to the time I get into F&I. And then when the customer's been waiting to get into CU, we all know what they're like sometimes. So, you know, we want to make sure that customers don't have to wait. And our best customer, the sales department, doesn't have to wait when they're looking for some information from us or something that we can provide to them. You know, a question that came up yesterday was, how many stars do you think the DMV would get? Probably not 5, that's for sure. And, you know, you'd have to answer this for yourself, but dealing with you is like dealing with the F&I. That's a problem. You know, we want to be quick, we want to be prepared, we want to be efficient. You know, desking on a busy day is challenging. You know, help the desk if you can. You know, get the information as quick as they can. If you're not delivering a deal, pitch in and help if you can, whenever is needed. A question to the group. Anybody been out at the sales desk and help them structure a deal lately? And how did that go if you did? Anybody?
That's what we do constantly, right?
Right? Who's talking? Is that David?
It's David Fishburne and Paul and Spiro down in the beautiful Venice, Florida.
Oh, well, yes, we're all jealous about that. So tell me a little bit about it.
So David sits out at the sales desk constantly. He's actually a fixture out there, right, David?
Yeah.
Why do you do that, David?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Why do you do that?
So that way I'm very aware of what's going on with every deal.
And how does that help you when you get the customer, you know, the purchaser of the vehicle into your office?
I can talk to the customer quicker. Like you were just saying, I mean, customers don't want to wait.
Okay. Thanks. Appreciate that. Anybody else?
Hey, John.
Yes.
Hey, it's Spiro. Let me tell you my experience that I've seen with highly effective F&I managers and sales managers that work well together. When F&I managers are at the sales desk, there's a lot of really good things that come to fruition when sales managers are working the deal. So by being up there, you can see how they structure the deal. You're part of the conversations. You've seen the struggle, if you will. You know what techniques they're using. You know what they're saying. You know how the deal goes down. You know what they gave them for the trade. So as an F&I manager, you know, knowledge is power. The more you can know about the deal, the more you can know about the customer. All that stuff plays a role when you're in the office and you're delivering a menu with the customer, right? So knowing how everything went down will make a difference to the F&I manager when he's delivering a menu.
Thanks. I appreciate you sharing that, and you're absolutely right. Let's keep moving. Let's talk about number 6. Ask for feedback and use it. Customers like it. You know, one of the things that, this sounds a little strange, and I hope I don't lose any callers when I say it, but when was the last time you went out and talked to the sales manager and said, hey, listen, how can I do a better job for you guys? What can I do to improve? You know, I'm not talking about major changes, but there may be something that you're doing that, you know, causes a small issue for the sales desk that if you could correct it, could make it easier, and it's not a big deal for you. So that type of communication about how can we work better together only helps you, and will end up helping the desk and helping the relationship. So taking that feedback and then putting it to use goes a long way. Giveaway 8. Number 7 is take the extra step. One of the examples of this that came up yesterday that I really liked and I wanted to share with you was one of the best ways an F&I manager can take the extra step with their sales customer is to resurrect a dead deal. You know, we talked about what happens when you go to the desk and tell them that a dead deal you couldn't get financed a week ago now has life because you've matched that customer to a trade that created better structure for the deal, and you've talked to them on the phone and got them to put more money down, and you got the deal done. You know, the sales manager is going to love you because that's a deal that just came out of nowhere, and the salesperson is going to love you because they're going to think you're an F&I Jedi.
Just use the used one for now.
How much time, I mean, does anybody have an experience where they've done that recently, where they pulled something out like that they'd like to share and talk about? Okay.
We could get one from Mitchell.
Move on. Oops. When we were doing the research on the 5-star, one of the things that really was big was throwing something in extra. You know, people love it when they get something a little unexpected, and they get something that they weren't, you know, anticipating. So, you know, if we're thinking about our best customer, which is the sales department or sales desk, you know, what can we do to, you know, extra? We talked about maybe taking a TO. Maybe you can fill in on the desk if you have the skills once in a while, or you know, occasionally take a TO, organize something for them, you know, help them out with a sales contest. You know what I'm talking about. You know, we love it when we get something, you know, if you've been to a nice restaurant and they come over and they say the chef would like to offer you this, and you did, you know, it's a soup or something that you didn't expect, and you get to try it, or free desserts on the house. It surprises you in a good way. So my question is, how have you surprised your sales department in a good way? Anybody got an example?
Yeah, I think we talked about that a little bit yesterday, John. If you really, F&I should attend every sales meeting and, excuse me, recognize a salesperson for doing an outstanding job, maybe on a deal. They usually are sloppy with paperwork, but they get the paperwork put together well, or they help facilitate the customer rather than leaving. So the F&I manager got a TO on them, or something like that. Maybe you at least recognize them, maybe even reward them with a gift card of some kind.
That's a great suggestion, Paul. I like it.
But we should always be, in addition to, because it seems like we usually are complaining about the sales staff, but we should be also recognizing them for their accomplishments and embellishing them and praising them, because they are, like you're saying, our best customers. So we should be in every one of those sales meetings. And really, throwing in something extra for 2018, if you expect more out, you better put more in. Because it's like 2017 was not a cakewalk, although it seems like it in past history maybe. 2018 is promising to be maybe a little bit more challenging. So you're going to have to put in more in order to get the same or more out. So always constantly be looking for that opportunity, finding those extra deals, working that customer extra hard, picking up that one extra product out of service is going to make the difference and keep your paycheck the same or making it bigger, especially for this year.
You know, it's interesting. That's a universal law. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. Effort equals results. Always. You know, you can't get away from it. You know, lack of effort usually means lack of results. Extra effort usually means a better result. It never changes. Good stuff. Thanks, Paul. Deal with complaints. A customer who's complaining is an opportunity. Our best customer we're kind of stuck with them, and that customer is kind of stuck with us. So we might as well make the best of it, and if we have a complaint, we probably should handle it just like we handle any other complaint. Listen to what they're saying. People complain because whatever happened to them made them feel, usually not about what happened. It's usually an emotion that we're dealing with. So we deal with it just like we do any other complaint, and we say things like, I didn't know you felt that way, or I understand how you feel, and we try to fix it. And if it can't be fixed, at least we've acknowledged it and explained to our best customer what we can do. And that's number 9. Move to number 10. This one's kind of a no-brainer, but listen, clear and open communication is important. The sales department wants to know that you hear them, you've listened to what they have communicated, and you understand what was communicated. Pay attention. We listen with our eyes as well as our ears, and what we see, sometimes we can make adjustments and fix, and those things don't become issues. So we want to listen when we're dealing with our best customer. All right. Do a little review. So based on what we know now, how many stars would you give yourself? I don't know. You'll have to answer that question yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe 5. Let's do a quick review. Know your product. Want to be the product expert? Always know the answer to any product question. Number 2, be friendly and say thank you. Be calm and friendly no matter what the circumstances. We want to be helpful even if there's nothing in it for you. Nothing drives performance more positively than teamwork. When the F&I and the desk are working together, really, really good things happen. Train your staff. Help the desk. Help you by training the salespeople to respond the way you want them to. The time you can spend for them to understand the benefits of your products so that they can, enthusiastically endorse you and the products you sell, the better it is for you. We want to be responsive, be prepared, efficient, and quick. We don't want to be the DMV. Ask for feedback and use it. How we grow is by seeking feedback and applying that information. Make it easier for your customer and sales to do business with you whenever you can, and try to figure out ways to make it work that way. You want them to bring you deals, make it easy for them to do that. Take the extra step. We talked about resurrecting the dead. Bringing your customer a deal, the sales desk that they thought was dead, is really demonstrating teamwork. Throwing something extra, surprise them in a good way. Deal with complaints. Complaints are really opportunities in disguise. And number 10, listen. When F&I and the desk are communicating clearly and openly, we've talked about it earlier, good things always happen. So, those are the top 10 things that'll get you a 5-star review with your sales department. I appreciate everybody joining in today. Anybody have any questions or comments before we sign off? Anybody?
Your sales staff's perception of you is created by you. And so if they feel like you always run from their deals, that's the perception they have of you. And the same thing with sales managers. So you create that yourself, and your attitude with them dictates your altitude, both personally and with them as a synergist. You're a team. You're a synergistic team. One of the things I like to say is really a customer that buys a car from you, has no issues, is 4 times more likely to buy a car from you next time. If they have an issue that you resolve in a positive manner, they're 16 times more likely to buy a car from you next time. And if you have a customer that has a product that you sold them, you owe them the opportunity to help them with a claim if they have questions about it or just need direction. So take the opportunity to do that and get them fixed up, because it's more likely than next time they come and buy a car from you, they're going to buy products from you again. You set the stage for the next sale. If you run from the claim and you make it difficult for them, you're going to be out on the next round. And unfortunately, I've seen it happen, fortunately, mostly the first way, but once in a while the second way. So know your product and be able to help them quickly with claims. And we usually try to support you very well with directing your clients and giving you the information you need so you can direct them quickly and effectively and efficiently through the service department so you can get it resolved. And even if you have some issues with claims, we typically are able to get them handled if they're legitimate and get the customer taken care of, which is really what it's all about. Taking care of the customer, taking care of the sales team, and letting them know that you're supporting the things that you do in F&I, because they're going to look more likely support you. The worst thing that can happen is if the sales team doesn't think your products are worthwhile. So you got to prove that to them constantly.
You know, and it's a great point, Paul, because, you know, the customer bought it from you, and that's who they're going to be coming to. You know, they don't read the number. They're going to call you first, and instead of just giving them an 800 number, you know, listening and trying to help is a good thing. You know, one thing that came up that I thought was interesting, too, since we're talking about 5-star reviews, somebody suggested that, you know, when we know a claim's been paid in service, and you know, on a service contract or something like that, and we know it got claimed, you know, follow up with the customer and see how happy they were that, you know, that $2,500 or $2,600 bill they didn't have to pay, and ask them to get online and put a 5-star review on the website for you and for the product that they purchased. You know, we see a lot of those reviews, but we don't see too many for us, and that might be an opportunity to put a positive spin on the product, put a positive spin on you. So when the customers come in, that's been part of their research, and they are more interested in the product. Just a thought. Anybody else have any comments or questions before we adjourn for the day? Well, I want to thank you very much for participating today. If you'd like a copy of this or a transcript, you can get it from me. You just email me at jtaber, T-A-B-A-R, at udsdealerservices.com. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for coming.